Good day, good evening, good afternoon. This is Jeff Scott in Stewiacke, Nova Scotia.
And this is Jeff Gray in Stewiacke, Nova Scotia. Welcome you to what?
Watching You, the KISS talk show podcast. What is it? Webisode.
Yeah. It's online, the KISS talk show.
The only KISS talk show.
I got in trouble once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well, Michael Brown told me. It was tongue-in-cheek. He said, you guys call yourself the KISS talk show? I said, no. But I said, it's not the KISS talk show like versus all the other talk shows. It was watching you, the KISS talk show, as opposed to watching
the
you...
Cheap Trick talk show.
No. As opposed to watching you the song.
Yes, yeah.
Right? So anyway, it wasn't a real battle.
No.
But...
No.
That's when they stole our idea to do album art.
They stole our idea.
Yeah, Mike will know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, it's July, it's summer.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Summertime blues. I'll just throw a topic out there. Jeff, how come KISS have no songs about summer? They don't?
I don't know. I mean, you're asking me a philosophical question.
Well, the Beach Boys kind of had it, the whole genre nailed, right?
The Who?
The Surfer Girl, Summertime
The
Blues.
Who had a summer song.
Ace came close when he said, "Torpedo Girl, thought I'd take a swim today. It was real hot."
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite lyrics.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
If I was going to write a song,
that's how you'd open the song.
Torpedo Girl,
let's take the time. Torpedo Girl,
it's time to rhyme.
Drink some wine.
Gonna rhyme.
Got to rhyme. All right, so we don't have an actual...
It's time to mime.
Hey, mime is money.
Mime is money. We just watched Spinal Tap again.
We did. Last time we sat down and watched Spinal Tap. Anyway, so it's summer. I'm traveling a bit, so I'm down in Nova Scotia.
Summer.
So when Jeff Gray and I get together, we can actually make a show like this, which is a lot easier than trying to put two video feeds and two audio feeds together.
That's more fun, too, because we had a nice little jam yesterday.
Excellent jam, yeah.
My friend Mike McDonald come over and play some guitar, and you get to play some drums. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Blair couldn't come, so with his permission, we destroyed his drum kit.
Modified?
Adjusted?
Adjusted
his drum kit.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I don't know, not much to discuss in KISS news today. No real theme, so we'll just kind of poke around with different
why are we doing this
ideas.
Show?
Why are we doing this show?
Why are we bothering? I mean, we already did a farewell episode.
We did.
And a special edition, an acoustic edition.
Yeah. You know, there's just something compelling about saying farewell and then just wanting to keep coming back. And doing so. I guess it's the money, Jeff.
I don't know where we got the idea.
I don't know where we got the idea either. It's definitely the money.
But it's like... Well, we decided, like I said, there's always going to be time. Like, I think it's kind of fun. We've had a few people, asking us. We get new people watching the show, and they're just finding out that we exist, and then all of a sudden they find out, they found the show, and then we're done. You know, so it kind of inspires me a little bit to do a show every once in a while. I mean, this kind of a venue doesn't. We just do it when we can, when we feel like it, as opposed to a regimented. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
we go for quality rather than quantity. I mean, I don't want to do this every week.
Yeah,
because then it's forced.
And you're not saying that other shows that do a lot of episodes don't have quality.
I'm not saying that at all. But I think if we had to do it every week, it would be quantity over quality.
I agree.
So.
I mean, I know you're not saying that.
Anyway, I just jotted down a whole bunch of different little ideas. Just this morning, I read on some feed, Paul Stanley went public in saying that the song "Hell or Hallelujah" is destined to become a rock classic. Opinion, Jeff?
Well, no.
Is there anything on that album that's going to be a classic?
I don't. I'm not a Monster fan, and that one song, that's one song in the album that I actually don't mind too much, and actually I like playing it on guitar, and I played it in our episode 2, our Guitar Riffs of KISS. I displayed it.
Yes, you did do a bit of that.
I played it on there. It's actually, as a guitar player, it's actually quite fun to play live. It's got kind of a neat arrangement. But will it become a rock? Was that the word choice? A rock classic?
Become a rock classic.
It won't even become a KISS classic.
No, KISS.
Really?
I mean, I don't listen to the album that much. There's just so much else out there to listen to, and it doesn't.
You don't listen to it that much.
I don't listen to it at all.
Have you ever listened to it?
Yeah, I listened to Monster all the way through.
Did you? Okay. Actually, I haven't.
No,
I've listened to the first 2 minutes of those songs.
Yeah, I mean, I had to. It's a KISS album, right? I had to listen to it all the way through, and there's nothing that drew me back to that second listening. I mean, it's not like when I got Alive in 1978 for Christmas. It's like I had the thing worn out by New Year's Day.
Why would Paul say that?
Because they're so convinced of their own importance, and they're so convinced of their own delusions of grandeur.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just that they have a tour that they're doing, and they're looking for ways to promote the tour. And they're also, there's discussions, and we'll probably get to this in a bit, but there's some discussions about potentially recording a new album. So you have to, if you're going to be relevant as an artist, you have to believe in your. You got to believe your own hype. Yeah, and I think that's what I think it's more. But I didn't get a chance to check, but I would be really curious to see if it's even in their set list right now.
I don't know.
I would hope so if it's going to be a classic.
Yeah, well, you'd think, right?
We'll have to check that though.
But they're playing Psycho Circus a lot. Is that a classic?
A Kiss classic, maybe now.
To Kiss fans, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost 20 years old now.
Holy mackerel!
I know.
But yet, no, Psycho Circus to me now, like if you go through the years, I would put that in. We had the show, I think it was episode 13, we did like our top 13 songs, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think Psycho Circus made the top 25. We did top 25 and then a top 13, something like that. It's definitely, like, as far as new material went, say post 1981 or 2 or something like that. It stands out. As whoa, that was actually.
It's got such a cool riff. It hooks you. The first time I heard Psycho Circus, I thought, I love the riff.
Yeah,
I love the hook. It had energy, and of course, everyone was excited about that album because we all bought into the hype. We all thought it was Ace, Gene, Peter, and Paul, and then we come to find out later that it's very, very little of that. Lots of Paul and Gene and Tommy and Eric. I won't even get into that, but I really enjoyed it the first time I listened to it. And I was excited because it was the reunion, it was the second coming of Kiss.
Right.
And I remember that fall when that album came out, I had the CD, I had the CD in my car. I played it a lot and really warmed up to a lot of the stuff on the album.
I liked it. It was Psycho Circus to me is in the same vein as Detroit Rock City in the sense that it had that intro. That circuit. So I think they did those things very well when they decided to do it. Like this.
The sound effects of the circus.
Yeah, like that was like, and then when the build up, and then when the B chord starts to crunch in there and builds and builds and builds.
Yeah.
And then Paul was, it actually works. I liked our version of it though. I liked our acoustic version. Yeah. That we did in the last episode.
Check out the last episode where Jeff and I sit right in the same spot, different angle.
Yeah.
And we just explored some familiar riffs on acoustic guitars.
And that particular one, I just found when we did that, I think because it's really it's like you playing the acoustic, background, and me playing the lead, the sort of the melody component to it, is you really got a sense of the beauty of the melody behind that song and how it fits together, and how artistic Kiss can be at times.
Sure,
right?
And all of it is very musical,
which is very different than. I think that's what separates when they do things really well versus when they just kind of don't.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a fine line between clever and stupid.
Well, it's also the nature of the songwriting. Like I said, if you go way back, like when we first started the show, we talked a lot about what drew us to the band, and it was the riff rock. It was it was these cool riffs. It was started with the music and these hooks and these riffs. And then the songwriting changed away from that, and that's what I said. When they ever get back to that now is when you hear some of the more interesting things happen. So anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about Psycho Circus.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of I always give. I'll tell you another song that I found kind of flat, but it's fun to play live. Is actually Modern Day Delilah. I played that with Blair, and I played this song with Blair.
Is that from Sonic Boom?
Yeah, I played just because Blair and I had this thing where we said, well, we want to be able to play one song
from every album.
Yeah. So I said, okay, so which ones are we going to do? And both of those songs surprised me in terms of when I play them, how much. And you can only do this for a guitar player, I guess. Is how much fun they were actually to play. The changes and those kind of things in them, kind of neat. But didn't come across
to some degree. All music is like that. All music becomes a lot more interesting when you've taken the time to learn it and explore it. Yeah. And I'll just give you an example. This past winter, I played drums in a high school musical. They did Disney's Tarzan, and first hearing the music, it just didn't excite me a whole lot. Of course, then you sit down, you got to study it, and then it just takes on a whole new appeal. And that for us, I mean, Kiss music has always been more fun because we learned to play the riffs and play the leads and break it down and tear it down.
There's been different discussions in different discussion groups, and between people who are musicians and non-musicians. And there's been battles between you can't hear music the same way because you can't play, or vice versa. And obviously that's not fair either. But it definitely is different. I mean, you have a different.
I mean, either way,
it's different.
The first time I heard Psycho Circus, da 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 da. I'm a terrible singer, but you get the idea. The first time I heard that, I mean, I was actually in my car listening to it because I'm driving home from the record store, and I'm thinking like I can picture where the chords are on the guitar. Couldn't really tell you exactly what key he was in until I actually strapped on a guitar and I found out it was in B minor. But I certainly could picture. You had an appreciation of where those chords were going and how how you'd actually approach it from a guitar player's point of view.
Well, it's not the same either way. Like I think about it, is that I can never hear music as purely a music fan.
No,
because I always have what you just did, and vice versa. They can never hear it the way I hear it. Like if you don't play an instrument, even if you're a bass player versus a guitar player, or a drummer versus a guitar player, you listen to things differently just because of that. And if you don't play at all, you just simply, I don't know there's no better or worse, just different. You would hear it because you have no idea, you don't even care. You don't give a shit. I don't care what goes into the song or whether it's. I either like it or I don't.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
Yeah, it all comes down to taste.
Well, I heard someone say the other day. So we talk about people getting these big battles about music and what's right and what's wrong. And what was it? I was reading a book, and it says everybody is an expert on what they love.
Exactly.
Right.
If you love it, you've invested your interest, your time,
and nobody else can be an expert.
Even a certain degree of study into that.
So no matter what you like, nobody else can be a better judge of what you like than yourself.
See, I think I'm the ultimate Kiss fan, right? I mean, nobody knows the band better than me. No one plays the riffs better than me.
You don't think that?
But sometimes I do.
No, you don't.
Canada's biggest Kiss fan.
You don't think that. You don't think that. You know for a fact that a lot of people know much more about the band than you do.
Sometimes it bothers me that I know so much about this band and so little about other bands. I mean...
Yeah, you creep me out sometimes.
Look, I just know way too much about this band.
Well, I've always described the difference between us as that you're a Kiss freak and I'm a Kiss fan. There's a difference.
There's a difference. There you have it. Yeah, Kiss freaks and Kiss fans.
But there are worse freaks than you.
So we had a really nice dinner last night.
Yes,
Jeff made amazing barbecued steaks. I made amazing potatoes and mushrooms and whatever. Yeah, so we sat on the back and we were having wine and steak dinner, and we started chatting. We thought, geez, we could have recorded the show right there on the deck. Something you mentioned was you posed a question, said something like, have the Kiss fans made Kiss so much bigger in their own minds than what they really were?
That's what I wonder. I mean, I go back and I think about the 70s, like in Kiss, because today Kiss fans are. It's amazing, really. I mean, it really is. When you think of all the bands that are out there, the loyalty and the dedication and the drive of Kiss fans to want to love this band and want them to continue and want them to do new material is incredible to me. And when I look back at, but the way we talk about, we take it for granted sometimes. That we talk about, well, Kiss was so big in the '70s and that back in their heyday of the 1970s and 1977. And I thought to myself, I said, okay, go back. I go back to 1977, and before Kiss Alive 2 came out, there was Kiss Alive 1 was out, and I had this many friends. Like there's like 5 friends in Yarmouth.
That's all friends you had?
Yeah, all 5 friends. This is how big the group was that were into Kiss, and were huge Kiss fans. Then there was this bulk of people who were into like
just stand on the outside looking, listening to everything else.
Chrissy Nicks. Where's my tequila? I need some tequila. Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. Those kind of bands were like, there's this many people. Okay, so then Kiss explodes in Kiss fans' minds. Maybe they explode, and now they're huge. And because I know why we talked about this, because we talked about Kiss Alive 2, and we talked about the difference in the sound of Kiss Alive 2 and Kiss Alive 1, and how Kiss Alive 2 has got all this Shea Stadium like screaming going on through the whole album, and that's how they wanted us to see them, and that's how we thought of them. But I thought to myself, okay, so this comes out, and this is when they're in their heyday. I thought, when after Destroyer came out, after this album came out in Love Gun, I looked around me, and there wasn't this many people. Now there was this many people. So there's like 3 more people that were really into Kiss, and there's still all these other people that were into other things. Yeah. So were they ever really? I pose a question to Kiss fans: just, were they really ever as big as we think they were?
Well, I mean, the record sales certainly point out that they were hugely successful. The fact that they got an NBC Movie of the Week in 1978. I mean, they were certainly on everyone's lips. I don't know if everyone was a Kiss fan. What I remember about that time was I kind of discovered them, and none of my friends were.
Right.
None of my friends were. There was a couple guys at school that were really into Kiss, and they kind of looked like they were a little bit on the edge of reality for not just being Kiss fans, but for other reasons. But there was something interesting about the band, so I bought double platinum because I saw an ad on TV. My sister used to get these Tiger Beat or Circus magazines for whatever, pictures of David Cassidy or Sean Cassidy, and she'd see these Kiss pictures. She'd be like, she was freaked right out. So she'd rip those out, and she'd say, "You want this for your wall?" I was like, "Yeah." So I actually had some Kiss posters on my wall before I even bought Kiss albums, before I even knew the music. So anyway, for me, like, I didn't jump on the bandwagon. I just kind of discovered this band, not on my own, but I discovered the band when no one else was really into them. Right. And then I kind of got some other people on board. But the funny thing, I remember around the time of, around Unmasked 1980, my friends had said, well, we've had that, we're moving on. And they were all into other bands like Stones and Who and April Wine and whatever was pop around 1980. And I still, I bought Unmasked and, tried to get others interested in this. They said, no, we're not interested in that anymore. So they kind of, not that I was a leader, but they kind of followed along, thought Kiss was interesting for a very short time. And then, around the time of Unmasked, just discarded or jumped off. And I kept that interest going for many, many years.
I was reading some things this morning there, trying to figure that out a little bit. And the 1977. Of course, they played Budokan, take your pick. They played there 2 different times, right? The first time they went there, I think it was 76, and they broke records. They broke the Beatles records for, let's say, like 3 sold-out shows, like 3 or 5. I can't remember what it was. And then they went again a couple of years later, and they beat that record again. So they're certainly huge in Japan.
Yeah.
Very huge in Australia. 1979, apparently.
Were they as big as Smell the Glove? Spinal Tap's Smell the Glove.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Animal Farm, whatever it was.
Sex Farm, yeah. That's the sophisticated view of sex.
Yeah.
Taking sex and putting it on a farm.
Yeah.
And so, 1979, Dynasty, I read that. So the tour, they actually ended up canceling a tour. There was a couple of reasons. One of them was apparently because of Peter Criss's drug problem, but also because of lack of ticket sales in 1979.
Yeah,
that was the Dynasty tour, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think that as Kiss fans, we need to remember that for us, you have to look outside yourself. If you think this was this band that was omnipotent, all-encompassing. I don't think it was anywhere near as big as the Kiss Army.
No, and I think from the inside we were seeing so much stuff coming at us. I mean, we had all that merchandise. We had the Kiss movie. It just seemed like it was a household word. There's no doubt about it. That doesn't mean everyone was a Kiss fan. Just because everyone knew who they were. Yeah. You could see whatever. You could see a Kiss sticker or whatever, someone wearing a Kiss t-shirt. It's like, oh, everyone knows who they are, but not everyone was a fan.
Well, obviously, it was an extraordinarily important band to a lot of people because, like I said, right now, what I really sense from the Kiss Army is that there's so many pages, there's so much information, there's so much desire.
Yeah.
And we make excuses for them too, like we do. Like people make excuses.
We'll
for
apologize for them.
But we make excuses. Oh well, So our standards gradually keep going down over time. But I think that comes from a good place. It comes from a desire and wanting it to continue and not wanting to lose this special band, even though they may not be quite what they used to be. But that's where it comes from. I think is that people just grasping onto this. Oh no, I hope new material. Let's talk about that. Should they?
Do we need another album? I'm not listening to Sonic Boom, and I'm not listening to Monster. Do I need another Kiss album? I'm sure there are rabid Kiss fans out there that are buying the material and listening to it and enjoying it. I think the problem for me is I just lost my taste for that style of music. You know, I mean, once my Kiss interest waned around. Well, the time the makeup came off, really. Yeah. Even though I was listening to Lick It Up, and I'm thinking, I think Maiden are doing it much, much better. And that was still my interest in the heavy metal genre. But to me, Iron Maiden were just kicking it in such a different direction. But at the time, I thought, you know, I needed to discover some great bands that had been around for years, like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Rolling Stones and even some Beatles. I was just rediscovering some stuff that I was completely oblivious to because, you know, I was young. My parents didn't have it. The first records I bought were Kiss records. That's all I knew was Kiss, Boston, and Cheap Trick. So it was time to expand my listening a little bit so that when I went to college, I didn't look like I was completely music illiterate, you know.
I don't know.
So new music, sorry, I went off.
No, not really. You shouldn't explain it. I mean, so, I mean, I guess for you, I mean, if they put out a new CD and a new vinyl with some really cool merchandising with it, right? You know, would you, and
if it came with a free Tommy Thayer action figure? That'd be cool.
You push the back and the finger goes.
Yeah. The Ace one will do this.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I'm always open to it. I guess, do we need no more material? Well, my problem with the material of the last two albums, and this is where I'm going to with the new one, if they do another album, like you said, I think you hit it for me, which is that what they're creating now doesn't appeal to me. They're kind of trying to do what they used to do, but they don't seem to be able to do it in the same way.
Have they grown musically?
Well, I don't know if I want them to, to become like I said, Spinal Tap Mach 2 or anything like that. Like, or if they, become prog rock, or they become. Like, how could they grow? Like, let's think about that. How could Chris
how can they grow? Okay. Yeah. Some people love The Elder, some people hate it. I happen to love certain tracks on The Elder, and I think that it shows, specifically, Only You and Under the Rose. To me, that shows some great diversity in songwriting, the approach to recording a song. Even the guitar solo is so unique. I just love it, and I'd love to hear them do more like that. And I've often compared those two songs, and I got shit for it too on our people responding to it and say, how can you compare that to Pink Floyd? But to me, it's very Pink Floyd-like in its approach. I could hear Dave Gilmour doing those.
That's
two
just
songs.
An asshole, though. I remember who that guy was.
I don't know, but anyway, I like those songs just because of the change in direction.
Yeah.
The album itself was a direction I didn't really care for Kiss, but those two songs really show, and I like Gene's voice on it. And I'll tell you, some stuff I've heard recently from live, Gene is still doing it. He's still managing to.
He's kept it up, yeah.
He's kept it up, whereas Paul,
Gene's kept it. Paul's kept up the presentation.
Yeah,
but we can talk.
His voice doesn't sound anything.
No, but we know that.
Yeah.
What's funny about the Elder?
So getting back to a new recording, I'd almost want to hear Gene sing more than Paul. Whereas in the olden days, like a Paul song, right on, and Gene's songs are kind of like they're a little bit too grunty. Some of them were, some of them weren't.
Yeah.
But the grunty Gene stuff is like I'd rather listen to Paul.
Yeah, you had that's right. You had things that you liked, and certain you liked a lot of Gene stuff, and there's Gene stuff you didn't like. But the Elder is an interesting example of this, of what I said about fans kind of grasping onto things. I find now you see all these shows now, when they go and they play like they did the cruise show, the Kiss cruise, and the people were like play the oaths, like they're asking for this bizarre material from the Elder, which by all accounts, Kiss fans back at the time, unless they were under a rock, thought that basically Kiss became pariahs at the time that the Elder came out.
Yeah.
They look back on it now with a different level of fondness.
Yeah.
That they would probably, but the first time I heard the Elder, I was, holy God, and I didn't, so, but again, that speaks to how much the fans want to like it. We like them, so we want to like what they're doing. So something new, like for me, a new album, I mean, these days I wouldn't buy it until I heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I liked it, I would buy it. That's the way I am. But these days I will test it.
Yeah.
But I will buy it if I like it. If I don't like it, I'm glad I didn't buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would listen to it. I mean, I listen to, like I said, I would listen to it. I don't think there's a lot. The point is, I don't think if they're going to tour for another 40 years, they probably should have some new material. But like some bands. But I don't need new material. I mean,
we've got our favorites, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going for a long drive, you want to, have a collection of music in your Bluetooth device so you can cruise along. And do I have Kiss on my phone? Sure, I've got some Kiss stuff in there, but I've got Double Platinum, for instance. And I can listen to Double Platinum from beginning to end. I got my dose of classic Kiss, and then I could play some Zeppelin or whatever, Fleetwood Mac, whatever I want.
I guess I would think it would be. I guess I'd be kind of curious.
Of course. Oh, there's always the curiosity. I mean, every Kiss album that came out, I've listened to it. Just out of curiosity and hoping that they might recreate.
They might find something.
Yeah, you might find something like the vibe that they created in Parts of the Elder. And to me, it was just like that's just so musical and so much. To me, it showed growth. It really did, and I'd be listening, trying to look for that. And then when I hear this heavy distorted guitar riff, it's like, okay, that's got like a little bit of Watchin' You in it. It's got a little bit of Parasite. It's got a little bit of this, and it just stinks of, Psycho Circus only done in reverse. And I'm thinking, it's like, do something different. Do something musical that shows that you've grown musically. But then if you did that, then you get these diehard people who are they're looking for that sound. Whereas I'm not looking for that sound.
I don't know. I don't know what people think anymore because it's odd. It's like it's got to the point now where people have already drawn lines in the sand. There are definitely people that are hardcore either way. There's people that don't think anything they do now has got any value whatsoever because it's not the original members of the band and all kinds of reasons. Yeah. And there's people that no matter what they do, you see that too. Both camps kind of bother me sometimes because it's like you always got to be open to things and to give something a chance before you make a decision. But I find that, I mean, just as likely there are fans out there who it doesn't matter what Kiss would put out. They think every single thing they do is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
I'm sorry. Is that what you really think about that? Please make some recommendations for some other music that I should listen to. And I won't listen to them. If that's the way, seriously, if that's your musical taste, then it's like I'm not picking a specific example, but sometimes that's the way it feels. It's like you're gonna like everything that they do, no matter what. So don't tell me about anything else I should listen to.
Yeah,
I
mean, if I were to, if they asked my opinion, let's just say I was a record producer, okay, and let's just say I'm a known record producer, and they came to me and said, we want to make a new album. What would you suggest? I'd say, look. Let's go for a different kind of a sound. Okay, first of all, let's get more acoustic guitar happening. Listen to Gene's solo album. I know some people hate it. I have a fondness for Gene's solo album. There's some really nice songwriting, some nice singing on it, lots of acoustic guitar. I really like some of the acoustic guitar pieces on it. It's like, try some of that. Let's try layering things the way Jimmy Page did. Let's bring in some, like 12-string acoustic guitar, put some kind of arpeggiated guitar on top of it. Let's start using a little bit of wah pedal, and again, I mean, not to recreate Zeppelin or Floyd or anything like that, but I'm just thinking, to me, I don't know, I'll probably get some haters over this, but when every song sounds the same, it's like, why does every song have to be a recreation of Parasite or Hotter Than Hell? I mean, why can't you start experimenting with classical guitar, 12-string guitar? Use some wah pedal, use some delay. That's what I love about the solo on Under the Rose is the use of delay. It was very creative. I just love the way that solo builds and copies itself and then crescendos into the chorus. Just creative use of what's available to them. Some Kiss songs I hear today, and it's like, okay, to me it just sounds like two guitars going through a Marshall amp, just belting out some kind of a riff, big, heavy drum beat behind it. It sounds like anything else they did.
I think if you wonder, like for a band like Kiss, with Gene and Paul, say it, why? What are they motivated by? You know what I mean? Like, so if you put out new material, what would motivate them? Because that impacts what you just said, based on what you said. Yeah. So if you're is it really about, well, I have a burning creative need to express myself?
I don't think that's the reason at
so
all.
So this is why that's not going to happen.
That's right.
It's not about that. It's like, I think Paul did some of that, and he did his own solo work, and Gene does it for a different reason, and I don't think, but I mean, Gene's creative.
I think the reason that if they did an album now, it would be for the same reason they did Sonic Boom and Monster.
Yeah.
It's to remain to kind of justify their relevance,
yeah,
or to try to remain relevant to the Kiss fans, because the Kiss fans eventually would say, you know what? If they didn't do those 2 albums, really, there wouldn't have been anything since Psycho Circus.
I mean,
right? And then people say, like, oh, you've been touring for the last 20 years and you've produced absolutely zero material. If you're a band, you should be recording new material.
It's a smart move for their net worth, because at the end of the day, even if the album doesn't make money, I mean, Kiss fans, the Kiss Army, I mean, you put out a new costume, a change to one of the costumes, and the Kiss Army will talk about it for weeks and debate it. And you put out, anything, you change the set list. You put one song in, take one song out of the set list. The Kiss Army will talk about it and debate it and so, if Paul changed his hairstyle, if he stopped wearing a wig, right? And, which I don't understand why he does, by the way, most times when he does.
His own hair looks much more natural. His hair is long.
Yeah.
But when he goes on stage, it's all, it looks like a wig.
Yeah, I think it's just easier that way. It's just easier that way. It's probably not
flammable.
It's probably not
as
flammable.
long and thick enough as it
probably
is.
Probably not flammable.
But, getting back to the album,
it's
I think that's the last thing they want to do, because think about how much work goes into making an album. 1, you got to come up with the tunes. 2, you've got to, work those tunes, workshop them to the point where it's a song. Now you've got to go in, the time and the energy it takes to record those songs, whatever. How much will they sell an album for at Walmart?
Well, how much
does the album go for?
That's not even why they're going to do it, though. Right?
No, I'm just saying, how much does the album sell for?
I don't even know what they go for now.
$16.99.
Yeah, something like that.
Even that, I'd say, well, that's expensive.
Yeah.
I want it to be $12.99.
Right.
How much you pay for a Kiss T-shirt?
Oh yeah, $30.
$30.
Yeah.
If it's at Walmart, maybe $15.99.
Yeah.
If it's at a concert, it's going to be $40.
Yeah.
And how much work goes into making a T-shirt? None. A graphic artist will find some artwork, either use Destroyer or Love Gun or some cover, or even just the logo. You print it on. It's like, okay, we can sell T-shirts, and it was zero work,
right?
And make as much money or more.
That's
so I think for Kiss to make an album, I mean, they got to be looking at it and saying, like, oh, geez, look how much work this is going to be.
I don't think it's that much work for them, though. I don't think that they spend months making these recordings anymore. I mean, they never did. You look back at the early recordings that they did; they were weeks.
Well, they did. They pulled them off pretty fast,
right? And so in the style of music that they do, and I'm sure they write songs on a fairly regular basis. So I don't think they're going to have a lack of bank of material. So I actually think it makes a lot. If they're going to continue, if they want to continue, and I notice I said it's good for their net worth, because it's the only thing I can figure out what they're doing right now is just building the war chest for the family.
Yeah.
Is all I can think of. Because, and I understand that. If Gene and Paul, want to make it, I doubt that, the kids need much more than they have. But
they won't be hurting, nor will their children.
I don't think. But if that's their motivation, if they're trying to provide a living for their families, then putting out an album makes sense. Because then now they'd take that album, and like you said, no, the album itself, you're not going to make money on the CD sale, so they're not going to put a lot of effort into it. They don't spend a lot of time recording. They do Paul does 3 takes. Tommy does 3 takes on that side. Gene does 2 takes on the bass. Eric comes and does 1 take on the drums. They do Paul's vocals 5,000 times. Pick the bits that they want.
That's what he said about Peter Criss in his book.
Well, I could see that.
He said there's no way Peter could have sung a song from beginning to end and made a tape.
I could see that.
It was all pieced together.
I could see that.
Pieces.
I could absolutely see that.
And it's like, well, Paul, I'm sure you've had to go through the same process.
But I know that may have been vindictive the way he said it, but it's absolutely true. I mean, you listen to Peter's solo album, because somebody wasn't there. Someone should have been there, taking those things and cutting them up into pieces.
Exactly, because there's moments on that where I'm thinking there's no way that piece should have made it to vinyl.
So I guess my point is that I don't think they spend that much time on an album anymore. I think they can pump out a Sonic Boom or a Monster pretty damn easy.
Well, something right there in their camp, they've got the 2 hired guns that are that have the energy and the talent and the drive to do that. I mean, I don't know. Kiss had this album out a few years ago where it was just a bunch of remakes. It has a Japanese title, and I can never remember the title of it, but they did like Love Gone Hotter Than Hell, just a whole bunch of Kiss classics, completely redone with Tommy and Eric. Wow. And I always, when I remember I was skating listening to this in my ears, and I thought, yeah, this is not bad. It's a little bit heavier in places, but like, why? Why would they do this?
Bother, yeah.
Why bother? And I always had this image, and I don't know. I wasn't there when they did this. I don't know the process, but I always had this image of Paul and Gene saying, you know what? We just want to take 4 or 5 months and go off and do something. But you guys are still on the pay stub. So listen, here's an idea, right? Someone came up with an idea. So you guys go in. I'm sure that between Tommy and Eric, they could go in and lay down everything, note for note, bass lines, whatever, and say, we've got this done. And then Paul and Gene just go in and do whatever, 5 takes of each one, and they piece together the best ones, even if Tommy is sitting down editing the whole thing. Because he's got that much energy to do. I could see him doing that, or even spearheading that project. I don't know who produced it, but anyway, that's just the way I see. Like if a new Kiss album came out, I see Tommy Thayer doing a lot more work than say Paul or Gene. I could be wrong, but that's just the way. That's the way I see it.
I don't know. I think, but I don't. I actually would be shocked if it wasn't just a continuation of the previous 2 albums, right? And like so from that angle, but I think there's a merchandising opportunity. It opens up all kinds of, theme, like I said, where they can make money in different ways, because obviously there's a whole bunch of Kiss Army. There's enough of the Kiss Army, I think, that it makes it viable because they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And they probably still get some new fans, And
I wonder if Kiss would do something like Ace did. We haven't really talked much about Ace's cover album. Wouldn't it be interesting if Kiss just decided to do an acoustic show doing all the music that influenced them? Like do some Who, do some Stones, do some Beatles, do some Led Zeppelin.
I think that would have been interesting.
Kiss fans
in
would enjoy
1995, 1996. I think now we want, because we talked about maybe talking about the meet and greets, right? And the problem now is, again, it always comes back to the same thing. It comes back to how can Paul represent, the songs, and acoustically, it's even worse, right?
Well, it's certainly, the big stage and the loud electric guitars certainly cover a lot of. When you're sitting there at the meet and greet, you're much more exposed
versus
sonically.
It's actually just the opposite of what it was when they did the MTV Unplugged. When they did that, it was like an epiphany. It was like, look, everybody, these guys can actually sing.
Yeah,
they're really good. And Paul, that was Paul's shining moment.
Yeah, you better believe it.
I Still Love You, and and just some of those moments were incredible. And you juxtapose that against some of the meet and greets today and the live show today. It's just, so to do what you just said, maybe if Zeppelin was something that they liked, what then what? You can't sing it.
I know. That's it. I'm just saying. I'd like to see them do something different, and that's cool.
This is in our wish world.
But guess how much the meet and greets are for this tour?
I don't know. I'm probably going to be sad to know.
$1,000.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So would you spend $1,000 based on what you've seen of the meet and greets?
Yeah.
You've seen them. We all see them now, right?
Yeah.
Would you spend $1,000 to do that?
I don't know. It all depends on whether I could afford it or not.
Well,
and I don't even know then. Even if I could afford, I can afford $1,000 for anything. I could spend $1,000 today on something, but
is it worth it?
Is it worth it? I don't know. I've seen some footage where some fans actually got up. Some guy just asked Gene, "Can I play bass on Black Diamond?" Gene goes, "Come up." Yeah. This guy's playing Black Diamond with Kiss. Would I pay $1,000 to go on stage and do a song with Kiss? And here's another marketing idea I had. I thought it'd be fantastic. You do a series of Kiss shows where you actually buy a spot on the stage. Okay, I'd pay $3,000 to wear the Spaceman outfit and play Black Diamond with Paul and Gene on stage. I would. I would do that.
That's actually a good idea.
Isn't it a good idea?
It is.
Yeah.
And that's something I would consider. See, but the meet and greet, not for...
Well, I've heard the meet and greet. You're not getting $1,000 worth of music. That's not what you're paying for.
Right.
You're not getting $1,000 worth of music. What you're getting is that opportunity.
Right.
To be there in a small room with your rock idols and hear them, and hear some little tidbits that you're not going to get on stage.
Yeah.
You know, to hear them do whatever, Hard Luck Woman, which they're not going to do on stage.
Would you pay? So what if it was $250?
$250? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd pay $250. Yeah, because you're going to pay that much for a ticket anyway.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
So, and that's the other thing, we mentioned this on, I don't know if it was the last episode we did, the one recently, but we talked about how, you know, in the 70s, before you could digitally copy anything and put it on public domain, you know, people bought records, and that's how the bands made their money. So you'd pay about, I don't know, $7.99 for a new album in the stores, and then when Bang came to town, you're paying $12 to see them live. Now you're paying $14.99 for a CD at Walmart, but when they come to town, they want $150 for shitty seats. So that's where they're making the money is being on tour.
So I wouldn't pay $1,000.
No, I wouldn't.
I don't, and part of it too is because I would pay $1,000. This is always assuming that you could afford it. So if you can't afford it, obviously you're not going to do it, right? Unless if it's going to bankrupt you or something like that. Mm-hmm. But so let's assume then. So are there people that I would do that for? Yes, but I would want to know. It would have to be a different experience. Mm-hmm. It can't be to me. To be standing there gawking at Gene and Paul, and them pretending to be interested in the event. And they seem to do a pretty good job, though. I mean, they're not like totally disinterested.
Do you know what I'd be more interested in? What? Is to be invited backstage and see like the rig rundown, the pyros to meet with the crew. Mm-hmm. That'll never happen because the crew have a job to do, right? And they're very busy people. Right. But it'd be cool to have something like a VIP package whereby you get to go back and see a whole bunch of backstage scenery, and then putting on the makeup. Chat with them as they're putting on the makeup.
That would be, you know, there you go.
Or if they're on some kind of like a little, you know, I know putting on the makeup they need to get into character, but the kind of thing where you could just kind of listen in on their conversation as they're doing that.
How much would you pay to be an assistant to one of them for 3 days on tour?
That'd be cool. Get to hang out with them, right? Eat dinner with them, fly with them. Yeah.
There are people who pay for that.
Oh yeah, and the KISS organization are zeroing in on that. They know that KISS fans are rabid. They know that KISS fans have money. Look at the guitars. Paul will play a guitar on stage, and you can pre-buy that guitar for $5. Yes. I looked at it because they played Newfoundland a few years back on the Sonic Boom tour. Yeah. Anyway, and you could pre-buy the guitar. So I went online, you know, Grand Falls, Windsor, Newfoundland. Yeah, that guitar is still available. So I actually hit the Buy It Now button. I knew I wasn't going to buy it, but it came up and it said your cart has one item, $5,000, and I thought, oh my God! But I mean, why not? I mean, I don't know what it cost Washburn to make that guitar, $1,000. So Paul's going to use it for one night, and now some KISS fan. I mean, if that's something they want, if it's worth something to them, if it's worth the $5,000 to own a Paul Stanley played guitar used on stage, then why not? Why not sell it?
I don't have a problem with that.
No.
Because, like I said, if that's... Because let's face it, if we could go and wander around to music stores in North America or around the world, and we wander into a shop, and one of Ace Frehley's original guitars, a real one of his original guitars, say it was the Tobacco Les Paul, would you want to have it?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and then it's just a question of how much, right? So, and why would you want to have it? It's not because it's like a guitar he played. It was the guitar. Well, in this case, that would be worth a lot of money.
Or say the Firebird of the 3-pickup Les Paul on the cover of a Live.
Something like that. Yeah, then this becomes a collectible and has some sentimental attachment to it. And if Paul did play one of these guitars, well, that would kind of be cool. I mean, this guy Tommy Emmanuel I've been showing you, right, the acoustic guy, and one of the coolest things I see him do in his meet and greets is like, see, he'll actually jam with people. They won't have a guitar. They'll have guitars there, and they'll say, can you show me how to play blankety blank? And he'll sit there for 5 minutes and jam with a fan. Yeah. And then another fan will ask, and you just keep doing it and doing it. But what's really cool is that he won't have a guitar there, but one of the other people that are there says, "Here, play my guitar." Mm-hmm. He'll take their guitar and he'll play their guitar.
Yeah.
And I think, oh man, if I get him to play one of my, and he signs them if you want.
Well, see, there's another thing that Kiss could make money on, right? It's
play my guitar,
play my Les Paul, right? So let's say they're playing somewhere in Canada this summer. It's like, okay, I send my guitar to the Kiss organization. They check it all out, make sure that it's playable, intonation, action, set it all up, and say, okay, Tommy Thayer's using your guitar on stage tonight.
Or even in meet
and then you get your picture taken with.
That would be a
with
huge
the musician holding the guitar.
Yeah.
I remember I met Miles Goodwin at the Imperial Theater in St. John, and I had my Les Paul Standard in the car, and I brought it in. I wanted to get a picture of me and Miles holding the Les Paul Standard. He wouldn't do it, and I wanted him to sign the pick guard. He wouldn't sign the pick guard, and he wouldn't get his picture taken holding my Les Paul. He wouldn't do it. Why? I don't know why. It was weird.
I heard an interview of the bass player from Sloan, and he did not have a good impression of Miles Goodwin. He went to go say hello to them at a band venue one time, and the rest of the band was really cool. And he went back and, like he said, Miles was in this back room. It was like "Kiss My Ring" kind of a ceremony, and it was like I said, "You kidding me?" I said,
"Well, here's the thing. For me, April Wine were this Canadian legend." We'll start a new talk show on April Wine, right? And they've been to St. John so many times, and I thought, I never see them. So finally I get to go see them. They had a little meet and greet at the end of the show. And at the end of it, I just felt like, God, I wish he was a little bit warmer to me. I mean, here's Miles Goodwin, a Canadian legend. And my image of him, or my impression of him, just kind of...
Of course.
Yeah, because he just wasn't... I mean, it's not like you're... I mean, Gene Simmons, yes, he has a reason to be that way, and I think Gene Simmons would have been warmer in a meet and greet than Miles was.
But it's like, can you imagine? Like I would, like my Gibson, my acoustic, right, which I like to keep pristine. I don't really care about my other guitars. Like I don't care if they get chipped or anything like that. But that acoustic guitar is, it's my baby. Mm-hmm. Would I actually want someone to sign it? Is another thing, and I probably would let Tommy Emmanuel do it because not let him. Oh, good. I'm glad he'd be happy about that. Yeah. But I'm just saying is that in that situation, like I thought about it. These guys are handing me this guy. I said, I'd be handing him my guitar as soon as I could. I say, hey, can you play my guitar? What do you think? And then just play it, and I take it away and say, because I would always know that wood and the fretboard and all that stuff, always will have some of that DNA there. I mean, I'm being ridiculous, but you know what I mean? But that's different. That's where the sentimentality comes into these things, right? So I think there's something, the meet and greets to me, like, I wouldn't pay $1,000. No, because it's not, I always find these meet and greets to be uncomfortable. I watch backstage, like Metallica does a lot of them too, and they do these meet and greets, and there's lines of people, and they come through, and the guys do a good job. Oh, hi, how are you? Have you been to the show? I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, right? And thousands of these meet and greets, and the fans are always, and it would creep me out after a while, So to me, I've always been the kind of person that when I'm the fan, I have a hard time being a fan. You know what I mean? Like I said, I couldn't go to a strip club because I'd be too embarrassed to look. I'm not even joking about that. I mean, I'm the kind of person that, like, so if Gene Simmons was sitting right there at a coffee shop, I wouldn't say anything to him.
No. Well, here's something we've often mentioned. If you're in a big city today like New York, and you're going to run into any KISS member, past, present, living or dead, who would you want to run into on the street?
We talked about that,
and chat with?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. Who would you pick?
I can't remember what I said. I think it was... You asked me this before. And I know it was... I don't know. Who would I want to actually have a conversation with?
Who would be the most real? So you're in a coffee shop and you actually happen to sit down and the table next to you is like, oh my God, I know you. And he's actually going to take 5 minutes to talk to you.
You know who I'd like to talk to if he would just stop being...
an asshole.
Just
for 10 minutes.
Just be honest. Just be honest. I'd want to talk to Gene Simmons. Paul, I don't know. He just doesn't really. He seems so. I don't know. I'm not interested in talking to him.
I think when Gene is not being Gene Simmons, when he's just being himself, I think he'd be probably a warmer, nicer person.
I think he's warmer than his images. I think he's got this persona. And then there's.
I think he's a very.
He's definitely
very feeling, sensitive, warm person down deep inside, and he's this demon on the outside.
Yeah, he's got an image to portray. But Peter's a whiner, and Ace, Ace to me seems really standoffish to everything.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'd have to pick Ace.
Well,
I'd have to pick Ace
for his conversation value.
Just for the fact that I think I'd walk away with a chuckle and a smile on my face and say, "Wow,
I don't know,
that was cool."
See, I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if he is, because he's so like. Whenever I've seen him at meet and greets and things like that, he's just very detached from it all. You know, it's just he's not making connections with people.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
That's my impression. How do I know? I haven't met the guy.
Yeah.
But that's my impression. Peter Criss might be and Paul might be I mean, I think Paul's very defensive sometimes. So he's probably the most rounded individual to talk about.
And I find in the last while we're getting a lot more rhetoric and BS out of Paul's mouth. And sometimes thinking like, that sounds like something Gene would have said 5 years ago.
This is what we said, though. What we said was just if we could get rid of all that stuff and just talk about
to the person.
Just talk about
well, there was a moment, I often said if I've run into Paul Stanley, there's a moment in his book where he spoke to me personally about a very personal issue.
Right.
And that's what I would want to talk about. It's like, I'm not going to ask you about, what was it like recording Destroyer? You know, I mean, I'd want to talk to him about that moment in his life and dealing with an issue. And I remember I was reading that point in the book, and it just spoke to me, and I thought, well, you know, I enjoyed his book. I really, really enjoyed his book. Yeah. What else we write down here? Kiss recently had a theatrical concert release. It was in the theaters. Kiss
one night only.
Vegas.
One night only.
Yeah. Did you go?
I almost went. Blair went.
Yeah.
And Sarah went. And by the time I figured out what was happening, it was like they were already gone, and I didn't know. And they didn't figure I'd want to go. I can't understand why they would think that, but I'm not kidding. But then I found out it was one night only, but then it was playing the next night in Halifax instead of in Dartmouth, so that blew that out of the water.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, I was going to go. I thought, okay, Kiss in the theater, just because it's a Kiss event, and I'm sure I'd run into some people that I knew, and I'd wear a Kiss t-shirt and all that, right? Mm-hmm. And then I thought to myself, you know what, I saw a Zeppelin concert in the theater, and if anything, we just wanted it louder. And I left to go find a manager and said, you got to turn this up. We're watching a Zeppelin concert, and it's got to be, you know. And I wondered if it would have, you know, the oomph and the impact that I wanted. And the other thing, honestly, what turned me off was the price of the ticket. Because I was ready to buy the ticket. It was $14.99. Okay, I can afford $14.99, but I thought, when did movies become that expensive? I remember they were $11.99. Anyway, I changed my inbox to buy a ticket for some other movie. It was $10.99. I thought, okay, so some other movie is $10.99, but if I want to see Kiss in Vegas, I got to pay an extra $4. And just out of principle, well, to be honest, I actually forgot about it. It was a nice evening. You know, I was out kayaking. I forgot about it. So the next day, I thought,
you're the ultimate Kiss fan.
I'm the ultimate Kiss fan in Canada. Like the next day, I thought I was kayaking when there was a Kiss event happening. Anyway, and then I thought, you know, okay, it's in the theaters, but what? I'm never going to see that. Is going to disappear into. Oh no,
that was it. It was one night only.
Yeah, but you know,
then it was the next night.
Pay-per-view, and then the DVD.
No, that's right. That's so. Then it's one night only. So that's the thing. I don't like when people try and market you that way. Mm-hmm. And I know better. It's like, one night only, which is using scarcity against you. It's saying if you don't do this, you're never going to see it. It's going to be gone. You never get a chance to do it again.
Exactly.
And then the pay-per-view. Well, it's one time only, pay-per-view, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. See it now because it's now, you know, it's not in theaters anymore. And then, of course, we already know this because we're not stupid. We know that Kiss is going to have a series of things that they're going to take advantage of. And then the DVD, of course you would. But don't tell me, you know, don't lie to me and say it's like, okay, well, this one time only, right? I couldn't believe it was actually playing next. Anyway, Sarah and Blair went. They said it was really good. But I had seen, they had done another one. I had the DVD, I think it was Kiss in Las Vegas before. And it was them lip syncing. Or the music.
I remember buying a DVD at one point. It was called Kiss in Vegas. And to me, it was the biggest ripoff.
It was. It had some.
There was something on it about it I don't remember that I didn't like. And it was a big
well, it wasn't live, first of all.
Yeah, it was lip synced, wasn't it?
Well, I don't remember if it was one or the other.
They only had 4 songs on it.
They were, and it was like, and they had like cover bands on it, like Kiss cover bands were on part of the on the DVD as well.
Yeah,
but it was like a party. It's like you went to a hotel and they're doing the whole stand there thing, you know, before they start the concert. And then there's all these Kiss fans, and there's all these Kiss fans.
What's this thing Paul does?
And this
What's this?
I know. He does a.
His hand is that attractive?
Yeah, Knuckles.
The older.
But then there's all these faux Kiss fans in the audience, like this beautiful blonde models.
Watch MTV Unplugged. The whole front row are just blondes,
and they're all doing the Gene Simmons thing, and it's like, what song are they playing? I really like that. I like the Kiss. I like the Kiss.
Yeah. Oh, I like the Kisses music.
Oh, I like the Kisses. Where was that in there? Oh, I like the Kisses.
The old man. They're talking to some old man.
That was it.
What's that video? Whatever it is.
I can't remember.
Kiss My Ass video.
Oh yeah, I like the Kisses.
The Kisses.
The Kisses are nice. Who doesn't like kisses? That's so funny. Oh my god!
So their new tour is called Freedom to Rock, and they're honoring the veterans. So now they've approached it from every angle, right? And now they're looking at it from the patriotic angle. Even the KISS logo has the American flag behind it, and they bring out veterans on stage, and they'll do the Star Spangled Banner while the fireworks go off. You know, I mean, we all know they're an American band. At what point in time did they become so patriotic? And is this a new angle to bring more people into the stadium?
I don't really have much to say about that. Actually, it's a touchy subject, really, because it's like, you know, I mean, is there anything wrong with it? No. Is it rock and roll? You know, there's nothing. Obviously, right? There's nothing to. I guess you could say, well, if evil doers in the world have their way, then KISS won't be able to rock anymore. I want to rock. I want to rock.
But is there not an
damn you, ISIS? I want to rock.
Is there not an underlying theme to it, like the freedom to rock? Okay, everyone knows, you know, your Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the big debate today is the freedom to have a gun. You know,
I just think are
they not just saying, you know, the freedom to rock? Is that not just a metaphor for every other freedom that we have in this world?
I just crosses. It's like church and state to me. It's like a crossover that probably shouldn't happen. But I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I have no problem with people if they want to pay tribute to their veterans, and obviously no problem with that.
Yeah, I've seen similar Canadian band Big Sugar. They often did like a Canadian set. He kind of redid some old BTO and some Stampeders. And on the back of his double neck, he'd have a Canadian flag. Yeah. And he'd often lift his guitar up over his head just to show the Canadian flag. And they used to do "O Canada," like the Big Sugar version of "O Canada." And patriotism, I think it kind of works with some bands. I mean, if you go right back to '76, you know, that poster of KISS.
Yeah, with the flag.
With the flag and the drum and the bloody headband.
You know, I don't have a problem. No, I mean, I don't have. If there's no reason why they can't be proud to be American and show that and have the flag around and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of bands do that. I mean, you know, and a lot of bands, that's how it's like a soccer team. It's like, it's not, it's, as long as you don't, it's like these things, as long as you don't take your patriotism and shove it in somebody else's face and say, I'm better than you are, then I don't have a problem. If you're proud, good.
Yeah.
It's excellent to be proud. Yeah. Like, there was a time when I thought in Canada, because I came from the United States, when I came here, I thought Canadians weren't proud enough. Because I came from that culture, right? I came from the United States, and I grew up thinking that it was the best country. I was indoctrinated, if you will, to the best country in the world.
We had a little discussion just recently between you and I and some other people, and I forget what the thread was about, but talking about how when you guys were in school, you learned American history, and it was very, very one-sided.
Absolutely.
To show how wonderful the country was.
I absolutely grew up feeling, and as a kid, and almost an hour here on there. I don't know if that thing cuts off or not.
It will.
Yeah.
58
minutes and 27 seconds. We're into this. So I remember as a kid. Anyway, definitely. Pledge of Allegiance, best country in the world, save the world from Hitler. Those are the key things. World War II. Down with
commies, up with capitalism.
Yes. All that stuff, right? But definitely proud.
Yeah,
and definitely,
and there's nothing wrong with it.
No, and Canadians could have done more of it.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think it needs any more.
I don't think we felt the same patriotism. Anyway, this has been Watching You, Jeff. Always nice to visit here in Nova Scotia and do some Watching You. We had a nice little bit of a jam yesterday.
Yep.
Music is always a big part of it. So
had a lot of fun with Mike McDonald. And played some KISS tunes. We
played a few KISS tunes. Yeah, it was great.
God of Thunder was the highlight.
Bum, 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 bum. Okay, it's Jeff Scott signing off for Watching You.
And Jeff Gray.
We'll see you another time, folks. Take care.
All the best.
Bye-bye.